What's going on, family? You are now tuned into the All In Podcast, and I'm your host, Michael Jenkins, and today is episode 13. And what we are talking about today is being a well-rounded man. You want to be a well-rounded guy, fellas. This is something that you can incorporate in maybe different areas of your life, but this is specifically really dedicated, for the most part, to athletes, especially those young athletes, right? No matter what sport you're playing, basketball, football, soccer, lacrosse, tennis, whatever it may be, right? And your dream is to live a life where you want to become somebody in any of those leagues professionally, right? Even if it tends to be something like overseas, whatever it may be, right? This is special for me because I was an athlete. I'm still an athlete, but when I was younger, my dream was to go to the NFL and be a running back. Well, I was about to say an R&B player. My dream was to be a running back in the NFL. And so I went to college, but it was community college. I was trying to find my way into a D2, a D3, a D1, a junior college, a JUCO. And my connects dried up and different things happened. And of course, God had other plans for me. And, it was crazy because I put everything into it. Like, my focus was just football, sports. Like, I just wanted to be in the league, whatever I need to do, whatever connections I need, however I need to get there, I'm going to focus on that. But what happened was, like a lot of young men, I wasn't focused on school. I wasn't focused on education or just being prepped for certain things. My focus wasn't there. Really, truly, my focus was more wanting to go to the NFL, but still like wanting to like run the streets a bit. So I wasn't really focused on school at all or anything that could help me. Now, I remember being younger and I would always ask the teacher things that, you might hear amongst your peers or even people. Why am I doing these things in school? What is the point of doing this in school, right? And there's so many different things when it comes to education, what we learn versus what we probably should be learning, like finances and different things like that. But I remember what one of my teachers said, and he said something along the lines of, it was to keep your mind sharp, keep you thinking in different ways. And I'm just like, being young, I'm just like, whatever, like who cares about that? Like, we need a purpose for doing this. But although I believe that there are so much more that they can put in schools and teach us things that are more significant, one thing I will say is I'm reminded that when I'm in school, especially when I was in high school, my mind was sharp because it was an everyday thing. I was constantly in school and I didn't know it until I was out of school, but my mind was way sharper, even though I'm much more smarter now and wiser, but my mind was pretty sharp. And so I really want to talk about being a well-rounded guy because I didn't know anything about anything else except for what it took for me to get to the league or get to like a junior college or just make my way down that path. I didn't know about resumes. I didn't know about signing up for different things. I didn't know about networking. I didn't know about any of these things. So I lived in this bubble where everything was sports, and everything else was the outside world. And a part of my identity was in being a sports player, right? You don't do it purposefully, but what happens is when you live, breathe, and eat, sleep that thing, whatever it is, you somewhat find yourself in that, and that's just who you are. You become that, and everything else is just on the outside of the world. But where I found a problem was that a lot of times athletes, right? There are some athletes, and this is what we have to think about. There's some athletes, no matter how good you are, sometimes you won't make it. Some athletes don't make it all the way. Some athletes get injured and their life change. Some athletes might have a certain path they take in life and they don't go the distance. But what happens? Sometimes those athletes fall into a deep depression. They can't handle stress. They can't handle their emotions. Some of them even, I don't even know if there's another name for this, but, regardless, some of them even go as far as committing suicide because they put their whole life and their being into football. And when football ended or it didn't go the way that they planned for it to go, they don't know what else to do. They don't know how else to live their life. They don't know anything about, okay, how do I go for a job? How do I apply for this? Or how do I network? How do I do these things? Like, some athletes may know, but a lot of times when you're in that world, you're looking for the favor of being a good player and people opening doors for you and connecting to this person. And especially when you're younger, you have people speak up for you, whether it's your coaches or soon to be managers or whatever, things like that, where you don't know necessarily how to navigate the world because your world has always been that sport, right? And that was me. Even though I didn't get far and I went to school, I wasn't focused on anything but college and trying to get to college and play football. So everything else was just regular. Like, okay, if I just had to work a job, I was still young. So I think the first job I had was a mall job. And then, I was working at, I think Calvin Klein. That was my very first job ever. And then after that, I was working in warehouses. But the goal was still to get in football some way, shape, or form. I had a lot of people on my mother's side that was going to NFL, but they got injured, right? Good thing is they knew God. So, the Lord really helped them on their walk and established a place for them. And also I have a cousin on my father's side who went to the NFL and played for about a few years and then retired. So in my mind, I'm like, there's no way I'm not going to make it to the NFL. Like, everybody has different skills and assets, but me, there were just certain things I had as a runner where I'm like, I'm real nice. Like, I see a lot of different people that's good, but I'm like, I'm nice when it comes to this, like the way I could stop on a dime, how quick I was. And just like, I would say I was a mix between, personally, I would say I was a mix between like maybe Emmitt Smith and Adrian Peterson. But let me preface this, right? I'm not saying them two at their peak or at their best together. No, I wouldn't say my overall would be like a 90 or 95 or 99. It was just like, let's just say not a hot overall of them mixed together. I just had a lot of things that I could do, right? I wasn't easily taken down by one or two tackles. So oftentimes I could just make my way through one person and another person and another person. I could stop on a dime and shift very quickly. Like I could be running this way and then running a total different direction. I'm not talking about juking and shaking. I'm talking about literally I could be running full speed this way and just cut and turn and stay at the same speed as if like nothing ever changed, right? But football players know that. Other sports players, when it comes to certain things, know that. I'm getting into football talk, but yeah, it's very important. And I know we've heard certain things and interviews and different things like that where people say have a backup plan, and people are like, I don't want no backup plan. Like, this is the plan. And if you don't want to call it a backup plan, call it whatever you want to call it, but just call it being prepared. Just know that it's being prepared for the real world. You want to know how to do things like network. You want to know how to speak well. You want to know how to connect with people. You want to know how to present yourself before the world good. You want to know how to do a resume or know how to stay in connection with people who can help build, create a resume for you. You want to know how to build a portfolio of whatever you do in life. You don't want to be just in a box of what you do. And then once that box is broken or shut down, you're like trying to figure out, what do I do? You want to make space for yourself to the point where if that ever crumbles or if that ever ends, or even if you make it to that and the end is coming, you're not stressing out about where do I go next? What do I do? Because all I ever knew was football. All I ever knew was basketball. All I ever knew was soccer. Now what's next? Right? Whether you're single, you got a child, or you even have a family, you don't want to be somewhere popping pills or just stressed out because you don't know what to do with your life because that's all you ever did. Now, it's okay if you're in between and you're adjusting and you're trying to figure things out because that was your everyday and now your normal is changing. But you want to find out, what is it that you like besides this sport? What is something that you enjoy doing? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? We say that all the time, but the same way we look at that in sports, you want to see that. Do I need to learn how to speak more eloquently? Like how do I need to shift, change, or adjust myself to be ready for the real world outside of this thing, right? Do I know how to make friends? Do I know how to treat people well? Do I know how to build? Like, find something that you're good at and start working on that and look for those things. Like, but just as you focus on your sports, it's going to take some learning, right? You might be an author, you might be a writer, you might be a really funny person, you might be good at writing jokes, there's something out there, singing, whatever it may be, right? And even not always just skills where it's just all about chasing a dream, but some real world skills. Like, are you a leader? Are you good with numbers? Are you good with finances? Right? You want to learn how to be apt in every area. We talk about that at All In. It's really working to become the greatest man that you can be in all areas of your life: financial, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. So you want to figure out all of these things, right? Like, how do I stay up to par with, things like finances, or different things like that, where again, you're not just so focused on what you're in that you just get so lost in those things, right? Things like time management, setting goals, problem solving, right? Emotional intelligence is something important for athletes, because a lot of athletes tend to, I don't know, I never looked this up, but I know especially for football players, especially because of the banging of the helmets and the rough housing and play, a lot of them tend to deal with stress or deal with concussions, or even if it's a smaller, a lighter concussion, those things tend to affect the brain. And some of them are, they deal with stress or anger differently. And so you want to be able to work through that, right? It might be some things that you might like you might want to help kids or families or men, right? Like being a counselor or a therapist. Like, are you somebody that's easy to talk to? Like, how do you give advice? How do you give wisdom? How do you help people? Maybe you want to give back to the poor. Maybe you want to go volunteer. Maybe you want to be in business, but you got to figure those things out and see what you might like. And sometimes you got to try something. And if you don't like this, you might stumble upon it while you're moving forward. But you have to have a plan for your life other than just sticking to that sport alone. I remember when I was in high school and I was playing football, but I wasn't necessarily playing because I had a coach. He already had people that he had playing, and it was weird. I don't know how to explain it, because it was like he would give me equipment and he would say, all right, we about to get you suited up. And then the next day I'll come in and I'll see my coach taking out padding of the helmet he just gave me and giving it to somebody else, because they're a big dude, so they look like they could probably play O-line or D-line or something like that. And so, I had a rough history even coming in to sports. But I remember one day my mother, she told me to come in the kitchen and she said, sit down. I want you to see something. And I was like, see what? She was like, just sit down. I just want to show you something. It's a little small clip. It's not too long. It's just interesting. You can watch it. And so I sat down. She went to a clip. And to this day, I try to find a clip, but I can't find it. It was about Stephen A. Smith, and he was talking about how he got to where he was at. But he was always talking. But he mentioned something to the extent of, like, it was hard work and dedication that helped him get to where he is. But a lot of people don't understand that's what it takes. And some people will one day never make it there to where they're trying to go, whether that's a radio host, talk show, basketball, football, but you have to be all right with that and move forward. But when I was watching it, I was just kind of repulsed, because in my mind, I was like, why are you showing me this? Like, to me, because me and my mother didn't have a good relationship back then, to me, I felt like that was her way of telling me that I wasn't going to make it. And I felt like that because, like I said, we didn't have a good relationship, but I felt like that was a way of like, well, if he ain't going to listen to me, he'll listen to this. But what I didn't know was my mother seen something that I didn't see. Because of the way my coaches operated and the things that they did, I wasn't super dedicated to the process. And, one thing she told me was like, you say you want to play football, you're going to the NFL and do all this, but, you don't really have that hunger. I had a cousin who, he was on my mother's side. He went to the NFL for a bit, but he got cut because of some Super Bowl reserve star or something. And she was telling me, I've seen that drive. She was like, your cousin has that drive, but you you don't have that when it comes to football. Like I was a hard worker and things, but when it comes to football, you don't have that. And I was just like, I couldn't really hear anything she was saying because again, I was just like, we weren't in a good place. So I was like, I can't really hear anything. In my mind, I was like, yo, that's crazy. So my mother's my biggest hater. Wow, my mother's my biggest hater. So I'm going to just have to make it to the NFL. When I make it, I'm going to still love her, but I'm just going to like, yeah, remember you told me I wasn't going to make it, or you try to say all of this stuff. But truth be told, she could see that I didn't have the dedication. Now, I didn't know I didn't have the dedication because the dedication I thought it took was just like almost if you're going to work. You show up, you work. If you go to a job where it's like, oh, we don't need you today, it's like or something like that, then you can leave. So that's how I treated football. If I'm showing up and my coach is not giving me all my equipment and all the things, I'm not sitting there on the sideline like, I'm going to just sit here and one day he's going to give me equipment. Nah, it was just like, all right, well, I'm not about to just waste my time here if you're not about to invest in me at all. And it was one of those situations where I seen my coach wasn't necessarily the type of coach where he wanted to invest in certain, like in people in general. It was like whoever caught his eye, whether it was a big player or this player that looked like this, that's who he wanted. That's who he was bringing on. And he won a championship before, so he definitely had some big guys. And I think my cousin actually played for him back in high school. And so, I was just like, I'm not about to waste my time with this and just sit around and watch everybody else play. Like, I'm just not. And, sooner or later, I think if I'm not mistaken, my sophomore, junior year, he put me in a JV game or something like that. Yeah, like a JV game. And when he seen me play, he was kind of impressed. And he told me, like, he had me in, he was about to take me out, but he told me, no, stay in. And so in my mind, I'm like, yeah, like, duh, now you see, like, I'm pretty good. Like, what's going on? And so, that's how that happened. I don't know exactly how I started talking about that story, but yeah, I remember that like it was yesterday. And I was so mad because there were certain things that my mother would say to me, but I thought she was hating. But in reality, she seen that I wasn't fully dedicated, that I wasn't fully there. To me, I was fully there. I was all the way in. There was nothing holding me back. I had no guesses about it, but she told me this thing that I said it was crazy to me because I was just like, I said that. And she was like, yes, you said that. I was like, I don't remember saying that. She was telling me that I didn't have the work ethic and things like that. And I remember she told me, because I don't remember saying this, she said that I said, look, I don't gotta go to the NFL and start and do all of that stuff. She said that I literally said that, listen, I could go to the NFL and I could be on a bench even if I'm second or third string. But guess what? I'm gonna still have money. I'm gonna still have all the girls on what. So I'm cool. Like I don't need to even be a starter, even though I want to be. And I was blown away because I was like, I said, wait, I said that? Like when did I say that? I don't remember saying that. But I feel like all of those things were a culmination of really how I felt and just where I was that moment as a young man. But at the same time, it's funny because I had work ethic. I was a hard worker. But when it came to sports, I just didn't understand that there was a different type of like work ethic, dedication, and sacrifice that, it just came down to. And so I had no understanding. But I'm a very dedicated and disciplined person, but I don't know. When it came down to have to sit on the sideline and just look and just be looked over, I just felt like I'm wasting my time and I didn't want to waste my time. So that was that. So in another episode, we talked about expanding your horizon. We talked about traveling, doing different things, trying different things. When it comes to this, you're going to have to try different things. You're going to have to, just step into different mediums or just different things, right? Like, I know you're young, but everybody on here is not young, of course, right now, but especially for the young men, like try things, try art, try another sport, right? Because even though you want to focus on being well-rounded is also being a person who has some hobbies too, right? So try a different sport, try a writing class, try museums, like go around creative things and creative people, go to networking events, go to all of these things, right? Because you want to expose yourself as early as possible. Because the earlier you expose yourself, the more you have time to build and figure out different things, and the more you use your time wisely. Because your life can change in a year, you can blow up, whatever the case may be, in your 30s, 40s, 50s, even 60s, right? Even 70s. But the earlier you start, the more time you have and the more opportunities you can make while you're young. And so it's very important that you really do those things, right? Switch up your environment, volunteer, especially if you're from the hood. Like, don't want to just sit and be in the hood in the trenches all day. Like, that's not what you want to do. Be around some people who are talking about things, doing things, right? Like, one thing that older successful people like is they like when young people want to come in and learn. Like, find somebody who's successful, find somebody who's maybe building something, go around that person and learn, take up the advice, soak it in, and just listen to what they're saying. Pay attention to what they're doing. Find another way to make revenue or make money, right? And I get it. If your main focus is your sport right now, that's cool. But find other ways, like to learn things and look up things, try a new language, something that is going to enhance you as a person, that is going to build you as a person, where you won't be just like the rest of the world. Because I'm telling you right now, listen to what I'm saying, especially the young guys. If you don't find yourself the way you need to, and you get lost into these sports, I'm telling you, it's very shocking. It's like you being dumped in a bucket of ice water, like an ice bath. Because I'm not the only one that dealt with it. I remember there's somebody I know, and she was a basketball player. She was an athlete. And I remember hearing her talk about how she felt not playing basketball anymore. And the way she was describing it, it was hard for her to make a transition because all she ever knew was basketball and really going the distance with it. And I think she was a D1 basketball player, but when she left, she had to figure things out because it was like now she's in, like I would say, the real world, like everything, where it's like we're not in sports anymore. We're literally like in the real world where you got to get a job, where you got to build skills and soft skills and hard skills and all of these things. And it's like, wait a minute, what is all of this? Like, how do I do this? Where do I go? What do I learn this at? Like, what is this certification? I got to get a certification. Oh, okay, so I got to go to school for that. It's like you're completely removed from those things when you're in sports. I don't know if it's like this anywhere outside of sports, but I just think this is important because this is how I felt when I was a younger man. And so my identity got lost into my sport. Like, I didn't literally just identify like I was a football player, but I got wrapped into that's what I want to do. And that's where my life was heading. Like, I was focused on being an NFL player, being a D1 player, and letting my life kind of revolve around that and just let my gift open doors for me. But you can't just rely solely like on your gifts, right? You have to know other skills and things that you need for your life in order for you to build the life of sustainability where you can live even when that sport is done, right? Think about people. We think about some of the greatest people, like even like a Derrick Rose playing basketball, or Tracy McGrady, or am I saying his name? Brandon Roy. You know, all of those different type of athletes where we like, yo, if they didn't get injured, they would be nice. And it's like, yeah, they did things outside of basketball or connected to basketball, or even Derrick Rose kept playing, but just not at the same level. But it's like sometimes the career you want or the life you want is cut short. So what do you do when your whole world has been made that thing? So you have to be a well-rounded man. You want to be a well-rounded young guy. You want to be somebody where you can speak well, you can do things well. You maybe know how to build things with your hand. You know another language. You got soft skills, you got certifications, you know, whether it might be tech or whatever it might be. It can be a whole list of things, right? There's so many things to do, but you have to find out what you want to do. And I talk about it all the time. Don't get caught in trying to figure out a million different things to do. Choose one thing and figure it out. Because sooner or later, that thing will lead you to another thing, like I always say, or you'll cut that short and you'll find something else you want to do, right? But we're not talking about being a quitter. And so this is what I want you to do. I want you to write down maybe 3 things besides the sport you play that you might be interested in, or something you want to learn more about, and take the time to learn about those things, right? But commit to at least learning one first. If you're a person who can learn multiple things at one time, that's cool. But I would say commit to at least learning one new thing a month, or just in a time, or quarterly. You know what I'm saying? Learn a new skill, right? Like if you want to get into business, if you want to get into real estate, if you want to get into solar panel, whatever the case may be, start doing your research, learning. You want to be in the medical field. You want to be in, business. You want to be in tech. You want to be in the wellness space. You want to be in health, fitness, whatever it is. Start learning what that is so you won't be lost. You want to be a speaker. You want to learn how to speak better. Start learning and figure out, how do I do this? How do I learn? How do I find spaces where I can go and speak and do things and connect with people, right? And so I want you guys to really reflect on that and just think about that. I know some of you are young and you're going to think, I don't need this. I'm going to make it. I'm going to be good. But you need to understand, sometimes life just does not go the way that you pan out for it to go. Sometimes life goes a complete opposite way. And sometimes life goes your way, but then sometimes that monkey wrench is thrown and you don't know where it came from or what's about to happen. And so I really want you to think about that. Don't be so arrogant or prideful, egotistical that you're young. You be like, nah, I'm good. I got this. Like we chilling. Like I'm going to make it. Like there's no question. Even if you're somebody that knows that you're going to make it, you're like, I'm a D1, I'm a D1 athlete, D2 athlete. Like I got people calling my phone. I got this, I got that. Like I know it might not be exactly what I want, but I'm going to get something. Still learn something outside of that. You never know. And it's hard to think about that because as an adult, when you get to a certain age, you start understanding what I'm saying more. But when you're younger, you think that you never know what's going to happen. It's not really like a strong outcome. It's like whatever, like it might, but it might not. I'm different. Trust me when I tell you. Don't make life humble you. Prove to you and show you that you're not much different from everybody else. And for those people that D1, D2, or whatever you're doing and you know you're going far, that's great. But what I want you to do is start investing in yourself and learning some things early. Don't let everybody else do things around you. Learn for yourself so that no matter who's around you, you are a sharp weapon that at any time you need something done, you got to figure out something, you can do it. Now, if you got the money to make things happen, you do that. You find people you can trust, but you also want to be a well-rounded man to the point where if everything or everybody around you left or was broken, you are powerful enough to go out there and make something happen. And to those athletes right now, or those men who are going through this, young men, old men, even if you're not going through it and you're okay, if you do not know Jesus Christ, I implore you to know Jesus Christ, because at the end of the day, where I'm at right now is because of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, right? And so at the end of the day, I don't care if you make millions, billions. I don't care what you do. You will find the deepest meaning, the deepest passion and purpose in the Lord. He will lead you and guide you. Why? Because he created you. He knows who you are. He knew you before you was in your mother's womb. He knew that you would be a D1, D2 athlete. He knew that, he knows your success. He knows your disappointments. He knows all of those things. So what you want to do is really find out, Lord, what do you have for me? But not just going to God asking him, what do you have for me? What do you want me to do? But building a real relationship with the Lord, allowing him to be in your life and you being led by him, submitting yourself to the Lord and living fully for him. Because I'll be honest, even as I wrap up, I remember my first time scoring a touchdown. I remember my first game playing varsity. And, I was killing them. I'll be honest. The team wasn't that good. I was killing them though, right? But even when I played teams that were pretty good, right, I was doing my thing still. Like, I'm not going to say I had a whole bunch of touchdowns, but, I got my yards in. We didn't have the best O-line, but I got my yards in. And like I said, it was hard to kind of take me down. But I remember the first time scoring a touchdown, and I never really told anybody for a long time because I was ashamed. And I was just like, I felt bad because, I was very disappointed. I remember the very first time I heard the crowd cheering, the band playing, shaking through people. I was probably maybe at like the 50-yard line, 40-yard line, and they gave me the ball, and I scored a touchdown. But I thought that when I crossed the line to score a touchdown, I was going to feel something. Like I was waiting to feel this void of like, this is what I'm supposed to do in life. Like, oh, my first touchdown, like, oh, I love it. But I felt nothing. I mean, nothing. And it was just like, I crossed that grass that I crossed felt like grass that I crossed. That's if I'm playing a pickup game outside in the street or in the park or something. That's exactly how I felt. And I felt so bad because I was like, yo, I thought this would bring me some type of satisfaction, but it didn't. And from there on, I just went searching, like, what is this? Like, what is this satisfaction that I want from life? I feel like I'm called to do something great with my life, but I don't know what it is. But it was to do exactly what God called me to do. Is what I'm doing now. This fulfills me more than anything that I have done that I thought would fulfill me. I was a football player. I was a professional actor. I do photography, videography. And while I do love that, nothing fulfills me more than just speaking, helping men, helping families. Like, I love that. But I did not know that until I allowed the Lord to lead my life. And I started to see things. He started to show me things. He started to build me up and help me and prepare me for everything that he called me to do. Because I'm not strong enough to do it on my own. And it's what he called me to do. And I need to know what way he called me to do it, not the way I think it should be done, because sometimes we think we have all the answers, but we don't. We think we know the best way, but we don't. And it's not to say inherently that as human beings, we don't have good, innovative ideas. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that people who don't know the Lord that have made good causes, I'm not saying that those aren't good things. But it's just something about when you submit yourself to the Lord and you do exactly what he calls you to do and live your life for him, because it's not about, oh, I'm a good person or I did some good things. Like, yeah, it's a lot of people that can do that. But number one, you don't necessarily get to decide. We know what good is in the world, but you don't get to decide what's perfectly good when it comes to God, because, his standards is different from ours, right? Because, we live in a world where we could decide what's good or bad at times, right? Even if it's not like the standard for the world, we could decide that's good, that's bad. But it's a certain way that God wants you to live. And that will bring you the most fulfillment in your life. I promise you. You don't got to take my word for it. Go and see for yourself. And so that's the episode for today, you guys. Be a well-rounded man. That will change your life. And I really wish I had somebody to tell me this early on. But I'm here to inform you no matter what age you are. And we're in this walk together. So in any way that I can help, I will always find ways to give resources and help to each and every person that, that I'm serving and helping here on today. And there's so much more to come from even what is being put out now. And so I'm hoping you guys enjoy the journey and get ready for the rest of the things coming this year. And that's it. That's episode 13, man. Be a well-rounded man. And so till next time, I'm your host, Michael Jenkins. You are at the All In Podcast. Peace.